Hi everyone, this is Karen with Inspired by Graham. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. Now that I am fully retired, I am hoping to bring you a little bit more video content, and they will be pre-recorded videos. Lives right now are not working with my schedule, so I think I can bring you a little bit more content if I do pre-recorded videos. So that's what I'm going to start out with. If there's something that you would like me to try or show you how to do something, please send me an email at karen@inspiredbygraham.com. I will try to help you out. But this is a card that we made last night at my team meeting, Inspired Daisies meeting. And I showed them how to create these really beautiful shiny leaves here. I'm going to show you how to do that again with you, but we're going to be making this card. However, I really don't like the way this one turned out. So we're going to change this up and also add some leaves. All right, so let's get started. First off, we are going to go over the stamp sets. And we are using Artistic Leaves. It's a new one, and it's a photopolymer stamp set. I believe it's only $20. If you want the item number, it's 166162. It's a two-step stamping technique stamp set, so that's what we'll be using. And I need a birthday card, so I need there's not one in here except for the Celebrate Today. I'm going to use this little font here. Really like it. It's from the Charming Day stamp set, and that is a bundle too. You can order it both ways. But let's go over the supplies and the measurements for you so you can make this card as well. We have a basic white envelope, and then I've got 2 strips of early espresso, and they're 5.5 by 1/2 inch, so 2 of those. And then my card base is Cajun Craze. I like to use Cajun Craze at this time of the year because of the fall harvest and fall foliage. And our leaves here are changing in Vermont very rapidly. So always a beautiful time in Vermont at this, in September. But anywho, we are going to go back to the measurements of the card base here. It's 5.5 by 8.5. I've already pre-scored it and burnished it at 4 1/4. Okay, so that is our base. I've got a stylish shape circle, which is die cut in Old Olive, and then I've got some basic beige. This is the first time I use this embossing folder, and I'll show it to you right here. It is called Joined Together. It's a 3D embossing folder, and I think it turned out really nice on just a small piece of basic beige. But you can see how big it is. It's like a normal size embossing folder for us. So it is called Joined Together 3D. All right, and then this piece here is 2 inches by 4 1/4. We have a piece of the Woven Textures, which is 5.5 by 2.5, I'm sorry. I've got some basic beige that I might use for the leaves, but I'm toying with the issue. Do I want to stamp on Very Vanilla for that? So I'm kind of thinking about that. Or do I want to stamp on some designer paper? I'll just go with it as I come talk to you over the video camera. I've got a piece of scrap Very Vanilla, which is 1/2 inch tall, and I don't know, it's like 3 inches long. It's just a piece of scrap. And then I have another scrap of Very Vanilla that I may stamp on. So the designer paper is Thoughtful Journeys, and I'm going to use this piece right here. It was a scrap in my pile here, so we're going to be stamping on this one. I want to try to get this orange right here to go with the Cajun Craze theme on this card. Your ink colors for today are Versamark ink. We've got Crumb Cake. I'm going to add leaves to the card too, and Cajun Craze. So what we'll do first is we're going to stamp on our designer paper, and this is just a scrap. And we are working with photopolymer stamps mainly, so let's go with our Cajun Craze ink. And again, this is a 2-step stamp, so it's going to take 2 stamps to create that maple leaf. So again, I'm going to try to stamp my best in the area here where it has most of the orange. Oh my gosh, look at how that looks, just like it is. Well, I'm going to stamp one more time. Wow, that is gorgeous. I didn't expect that to happen, as you can tell from my voice. So I'm going to stamp this one again. That one looks great too. And then I'm going to take the filler. So this is the second level. And I'm going to just stamp on this one for right now. Kind of want to see what it kind of looks like filled in versus not. So when I stamp the maple leaf, I'm looking for these 2 leaves here. And for me, it's really hard to get this right on top of the detailed stamp. So I pretty much try the best I can. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And I can trim it off. So we're going to just try to go right there. Oh gosh, I'm way off on that one. But I don't care because, wow, that's really off. I don't even think I had it lined up correctly. So we're not going to use that one. And I don't want to ruin this one because I really like how it is. But anyway, that's what it kind of looks like, although I was totally off on my stamping. We're going to let that dry, and then I'm going to fussy cut it out. Our other stamping is for the inside panel, and this is going to be a horizontal card, so my inside panel's got to go like that. And I'm going to stamp with a happy birthday. Again, that's from the Charming Day stamp set. Kind of fun font for our birthdays. You can add the maple leaf. Maybe let's do the top of it. Just a little bit here. Let's go like that. And then our envelope, let's stamp that as well. And we'll stamp right in the corner there. It's a very detailed stamp just as is. Honestly, I don't even think you need that filler. But let's stamp over in this corner too. That is just gorgeous with the Cajun Craze. All right, our sentiment, which is going to be stamped on the vanilla. And I'm looking for the Celebrate Today sentiment. I'm just going to stamp right in the middle because I'm going to trim that down. So it really doesn't matter how much I have over the past the letters there. So I think that is all of our stamping. Let's actually stamp the back side of that card base because I'm going to be selling my cards and I want to get that step all done. I use just a generic Angel Policy stamp. It's really old, but I love it because it's got that nice little cute heart there. You can create a background with the leftover ink on your stamp here. You can huff on it, so that means blowing your hot air from your mouth onto that. It reactivates whatever ink is left on there, and then it will we'll stamp it right down on the back of that. So let me huff on it. And then we're going to turn this over, and I'm going to just stamp like right there, but very light. Now, hopefully you can see that is right there, but I like adding a little bit of a background to that Angel Policy stamp. It just kind of ties it all together. All right, I think we're all done with the Cajun Craze. Our next step is to stamp the leaves. I wanted to add a couple leaves in the card for this one. I'm going to use my Very Vanilla, and we're going to stamp that in Crumb Cake. So on this card here, let me go back to these. This one right here is the very first card I made, and I stamped on Basic Beige. And believe it or not, both of those stamps are in there, and you can't really see the veins of the leaf. So on this one, my second card, I tried Crumb Cake, and you can see the difference, and you can see the veins in the leaves. So I would highly suggest, if you're stamping on Basic Beige, to use Crumb Cake. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to stamp a few of these. Let's stamp 3 of them. All right, and I'm going to use the filler. I guess we're going to go back to the Cajun Craze ink. And I'm going to just practice over here just to see what strength of ink I want for that leaf. I don't want it super dark, so I think I'm going to go with the middle one. So this is the filler that goes into this leaf here. And then that little straight part that's on the stamp is going to get lined up as close as you can, and then all the way up here to that little point. So we'll just add this, stamp off, and then stamp on. And there we have a little bit of color in that leaf. Now to dress it up and make it different, let's stamp this one in full color or full strength. And I think I'm gonna try this one in full strength as well. All right, so I'm not gonna worry about not getting filled in. That's quite fine. I can hide it by kind of placing it underneath one of the maple leaves there. So our next step is to fussy cut everything out. So I am gonna do that off camera, so you don't have to watch me do that, but stamping on our regular cardstock does take a little bit more time versus fussy cutting out on the designer paper because it's a little bit thinner. So let me go do this off camera, and then we'll come back and we'll be heat embossing next. All right, as you can see, I have all of the leaves. I actually did decide to fussy cut this one out just to show you that I did get rid of all that excess ink off to the side, and it looks perfectly fine. So, and then this is the one here that I did not use the filler stamp. And then I've got 3 leaves. I don't know where the other one went. There it is underneath. So I did die cut, or not die cut, but fussy cut these out as well on the very vanilla. It took me about 5 minutes to do that, so not very long. All right, so the next step is kind of the fun step. We're going to make these leaves come together and give them a little bit more pizzazz. So right now they are pretty much just flat, right? They're stiff, and what we're going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder and we're going to break down those fibers. And when you do that, the paper becomes softer. So I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to flip it, and let's bring those leaves back to the other side. Okay. So we'll just keep doing that. Now it's kind of looks like this. I don't really like how that kind of looks. And when you add all of the Versamark, it's going to look like it needs to be flipped over, honestly. So how to combat that was I'm going to use the bone folder on every other leaf here, or part of the leaf. So that one's going to be going under, and this one's going to be going over. So we're just going to keep going over and under until we get to the end. Okay, so we've got that one. So now they're kind of going both ways. All right, so that's that one. And let's do this one as well. And when you're doing this, be careful. If you're stamping on the designer paper, it is thinner than our cardstock. So you don't want to kind of take your bone folder too hard, because you have a chance of actually like ripping the paper. All right, so now I've got them all coming up towards us. So I'm just going to work on the leaves that need to go the other way. Let's see. Whoops, wrong way. And then this one. Okay, so there's that one. And we're going to do the same thing with the leaves. So we'll just curl it up. Make sure you do both ends. And then we're going to flip it and break down those fibers. Okay, now we got 2 more to go. Just take that bone folder and really get that the fibers really broken down. So it's a little bit softer. Okay, and then one more. Okay, now that we have everything kind of ready to go, we're going to take this off. I've got a brand new piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to do this one at a time because what I found out at our team meeting is that when I used the Versamark and set them aside, they dried out, so I didn't get as good of a stamping kind of glossy effect. So we're going to do these one at a time, and I'm going to be using our embossing tools as well. All right, so make sure that your Versamark is well inked and it's very sticky, okay? Mine looks like it's a disaster because I've had this forever, but don't worry. It's just kind of wear and tear on your stamp set. So I'm going to put Versamark on the scrap paper. Okay, just for a second, just like that, so it's going to hold it in place. Next, I'm going to take the Versamark and I'm going to press it down on top of the leaf. Okay, set that aside, and then we can kind of see where it's shiny, but let's make it even a little bit more shiny and make it glossy. So I'm going to take the tweezers, hopefully, and I'm just going to grab right down there. Let's bring in the clear embossing powder. And we're just going to sprinkle these on and tap it. Since I'm going to be using this multiple times, I'm going to put it way across my desk so it's out of the way of my heat tool. Now you can see that this is like a matte look. There's no shininess whatsoever. So I'm going to take my heat tool and we're going to turn it on to full power. So there's a 1 and a 2 switch. We're going to take it all the way to 2, and then we're going to heat set that powder. So this will be a little bit noisy, but let's show you some magic. This was the first ever technique I learned in heat embossing, and that really got me stuck on paper grafting. So right now the heat tool is just getting to a hotter temperature, and when it's hot enough, like it is right now, you can see the leaves changing right in front of us. So that powder is now melting and making the leaves really shiny. You have to be careful that you have everything heat set. You just kind of rotate that paper, especially the tips. And down here, that stem isn't done yet. So we've got that done. Now, underneath the tweezers really isn't done either. So we're going to take this off carefully. I'm going to rotate it and add those tweezers on that top leaf and heat set that stem. And I'll just go over it one more time just to make sure everything is heat set. If you don't heat set everything, it's going to look like a real hot mess. So there you have it. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to do a leaf next. Okay, so I'm going to just place this right here. Take my Versamark ink and just make sure it's got enough stickiness on it. Pull it off. It looks shiny right now, but we're going to make it really shiny with our clear embossing powder. All right, we'll take this back in and just sprinkle it on. And then I like to tap it from the back side. And let's put that way over. And we're going to heat set that leaf. All right, it's starting to heat set right now. I can see the Cajun Craze turning color into shininess. You can also come to the back side as well to heat your paper up. And then I'm going to take my little leaf and rotate it And I'm going to heat set that area where the tweezers held the paper. All right, so there's your leaf, smaller leaf. And next up is I'm going to go off camera and I will do the rest of these and come back to you. All right, everyone, I got all of my leaves completed, and let's just put them on the silicone craft sheet so you've got a nice little background here, and I'll bring them up to the camera so you can see all the glossiness. Isn't that beautiful? All right, now we're going to put this card together. Let's have some fun. So we'll set these aside, and then we're going to work on the card. Now here's our little sample. Again, I do not like that leaf, and I'm going to be taking that off and replacing it with one of these over here. So we can make that one work as well. So again, I've got my card base here, which is Cajun Craze. And our next step, let's bring in our silicone craft sheet so we're protecting my work surface. And just decide which side do you want to use of your designer paper, because we have two sides to choose from. And I'm going to be using Stampin' Seal right now. And I'm going to be using Seal for a while because I've got a ton of it. And I need to use it. So, and I only have like one bottle of liquid glue. So we're going to be using Seal for a while, and then we'll switch to something else. All right, now here is my little strip of early espresso, and I want about 1/4 of an inch border. Now this saves paper. Technically, you could have cut this 2 3/4 inches tall, but why not use up your strips and save a little bit of cardstock and money, of course. All right, so let's add this one. All right, so easy peasy so far. We're going to take our seal and we're going to run it along the edges, all 4 edges. We're going to be going edge to edge, adhering it to the card base itself. All right, so we got the card base. Let's make sure it's the correct way. I'm going to add this, excuse me, on the lower portion of the card. This is edge to edge over here. And I'm just going to bring it all the way over and give it a really good press. You can also take your bone folder. And then if there's anything over the edge on this side, now's the time I'm going to trim it off. So I can see there's a little tiny bit of early espresso showing from that strip. So we can just take our scissors here and just trim that off. So now that's all flush. All right, I'm having so much fun with this card here. Here's that gorgeous basic beige. And that again was pre-embossed with the joined together 3D embossing folder. If you don't have this one, I highly suggest it. You can do lots of things with it. But we're going to just add this right down to the bottom. It doesn't matter which direction you go, I guess whatever your preference is. But do make sure that you have enough of your adhesive on this because it's embossed paper. And embossed paper just needs a little bit more adhesive than normal like panels, just because of all the grooves that are in it. I'm going to add that these little flowers are at the top portion of the card. I'm going to bring it in about 1.25 inches from the left side here and just run my fingers up and down, and you can gently take your bone folder as well. Now is the time to check this. I think my paper trimmer had a little difficulty there. Maybe I need to change the blade, but I've got that rubbed down. It just had these little pieces of cardstock kind of not looking so good, but we got that fixed. Now let's take our not early espresso, but actually early espresso would look really good too. Oops, our old olive stylish shaped circle, and I believe this is the 2nd largest or the 3rd largest. Doesn't really matter where you want to put it. I'm going to have it more in the center of this basic beige. Give it a good press. Now we're going to take all of our maple leaves here, and we're going to take these leaves, and we're going to add Stampin' Dimensionals to them. Now, I'm going to take that leaf off, so that's why I'm putting dimensionals on all of these. Now, I only use 3. Let's just form a triangle here. And you might wonder, why do I have dimensionals this large, right? Because our sheets generally don't come this large. Well, this is from a leftover kit. So I love our kits because they always give us extra items to be using, like consumables. So I've got pretty much a whole sheet. Okay, everything has our dimensionals. Now let's figure out which leaf I want it for one card and then the other. So I don't think it really matters. So let's just take these off. Sometimes I like to use my piercing tool just to stab the backs, and then the backing comes off. So this one is going to go right in the center, and I'm going to angle it a little bit. Now let's remove this one here. And to do that, I like to take my paper snips, and instead of pulling it off, I'm going to take those blades and go in. I know I have 3 in there, so I'm just going to snip them. And that's what we have left. This is going to go in the trash bin, and now we're going to add this one on. So little, I used to pull off like that leaf. I would have normally pulled it off, but I saw a demonstrator using your paper snips, and it truly worked. So I'm doing the same thing. This doesn't matter. I don't need to remove those. We're not going to see them. So we're just going to add this right back. And doesn't that look a lot better, you guys? Much better. So we're going to leave that one as is. And on this one here, I'm going to add these leaves. And let's see what it looks like. We'll just compare the two. So let's put one down here. And then this one, let's add it over here. And then our last one, I'm going to put 2 over here. Let's lay them on top of each other. There. Okay. We're looking good here. We're going to take some ribbon and then our sentiment strip. Let's angle cut this right now. You can leave it straight if you wanted to, but I'm going to angle cut it. This also gets Stampin' Dimensionals, but first what we're going to do is we're going to adhere some adhesive right in the middle there, and that's going to be for our ribbon. So we are using the gold striped, and on the back it says mesh band ribbon. So we're going to take this little washi tape off, and I'm going to take the ends, this end, and fold it on top of the other one, and then we're going to bring back this length over here, and we're going to squeeze them together. Take my scissors and we'll just angle cut. And then we're going to, I like to go this way. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. Now let's take our Stampin' Dimensionals. They're going to kind of act like adhesive. So we're going to add it right over top of that ribbon. And we'll grab another one and we'll put one in the center. And then the other one will go over here. We'll take our piercing tool and remove these very carefully. And now we're just going to add this onto the card here. I'm just going to put it right up in this area here. Give it a good press so we know that's going to be stuck on and it's not going to come apart. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to add some rhinestone basic jewels. However, I am going to color them in Cajun Craze using our Cajun Craze dark Stampin' Blends. So you can use the brush tip, but if you're using the brush tip, you have to be really careful. Don't press down hard or else you're going to break that tip. The ink does go onto the rhinestones a lot easier than if you use a chisel point. They're alcohol-based markers, so I know they're not going to, the ink's not going to rub off. And then we're just going to add them. Oh, this looks so good with these rhinestones on here. We're just going to add them wherever we want to. I always like to form some kind of triangle. The inside is going to be added on as well. So we'll get this happy birthday message on the inside. And then let's center this. And there we have it. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, you guys. If you could see this in person. All right, let's put them all in front of us so we can kind of see. Here's another one. And then here's the ones I made with my team. We used linen thread. I did color the rhinestones in Lost Lagoon. And this is Lost Lagoon ink stamped on designer paper. This was stamped on basic white. And then this here is crumb cake with a hint of the Lost Lagoon and on both leaves there. This one here, we used the same coloring here. I used Pretty Peacock for the sentiment. It does show a lot better, so that's what I would do next time. This is Lost Lagoon paper here. So with the Pretty Peacock just gives it a little bit more pizzazz, right? You can read it a lot better. And then linen thread, we also stamped on a basic beige and not crumb cake, so basic beige onto basic beige, and you really can't see the leaves, so highly suggest you use crumb cake. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know my team enjoyed it last night. So I've got some fall cards to send out. I've got some fall birthdays coming up, so someone's going to be lucky to get probably this one right here. So for all your Stampin' needs, you can find all the Stampin' Up! Products at inspiredbygram.com. Hit the shop now, and if you would like to join our Inspired Daisies team, you can do that as well. There's a join menu drop down that you can click and learn more about Stampin' Up! All right, thank you so much for watching, and take care.